art scene here?
Myself, my energy, my notion of setting myself up with different challenges all the time. Being a local in a local environment is actually very important to me.
Why's that?
Well, I think in a way I'm kind of naively or innocently trying to put something back, a sense of energy and a sense of a sense of creativity really. It would be nice if, for instance, if my art then went on to develop looking at local people, not necessarily in a heritage way, but just in a sense of, people in the streets. Because my work is figurative, then it's something that I want to explore more is looking at local people and maybe the jobs that they're doing now, or the jobs that they can't find, or just local issues really.
So that's why it's important for you.
Yeah, very probably. Yeah, it's not an area that I've got myself into just yet, but it's certainly something for the future. Yeah, I mean, I think your time at art school is very developmental anyway, which is what you'd expect, and sometimes you don't really realise what you want to do sometimes until you're coming to the end of it. I think that's been the case for me.
Are you kind of anxious about being able to sort of make a living doing it, and what's the situation like with funding?
I mean, for me it's kind of slightly different. I've just got on the MA course, which is 2-year course, so I'm really excited about that because it means that I can then begin to explore some of those other issues of what I want to do and how to develop my technique, who I want to put into my paintings. But I think in a way, as an emerging artist, you don't really think of yourself as making a living with art. It's not really something that you spend much time thinking about, otherwise you're in the wrong job really.
What is it about for you then?
Actually being an artist? It's about the paint, because I'm a painter. It's very much about moving the paint from palette to canvas and what happens in that process, the actual physicality of it, but then also what you can make, and when you readdress a painting, how you can change it, how you can adapt it, how you can explore the finished product and what it's going to say to people who view it. So it's definitely there's definitely a movement from palette to canvas to observer back to it's circular in a way, and very it's almost tactile. It's something that you kind of want to get your hands on and explore and get your mind around as well. Lots of intellect behind it, which is really interesting to consider and read about and write about.
What is it like being a student artist, a student painter, versus actually being kind of well established in the art community here?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been well established in the art community, so I can't speak from that point of view. But I mean, being a student is brilliant because we do have some amazing members of staff here who have got an amazing amount of experience and knowledge, and they're incredibly accessible, and they are there to help you every step of the way, even if it's just criticism. Even if you don't always like to hear what they've got to say. What tends to happen over a period of time is you lean towards the ones who you feel most comfortable with and have a better relationship with, and you then, to a certain extent, come to depend on them in a way, which I think most artists need. Is this almost like a mentoring system where at some point every now and then, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, once a year, you get the chance to just see what is happening in your work, or more to the point, what's not happening in your work and what you're looking for, and where you would like to begin to explore, and how you go about doing that.
You just kind of become too attached to it in a way.
You can become very comfortable with what you're doing and not necessarily be too happy with that. I mean, if you do become too comfortable, you're definitely not too happy about it, because you get bored with it apart from anything else. You want to kind of like feel like you've got some new ideas and want to sort of like develop them and see where it's going to take you. And I mean, it's very scary, this whole notion of stepping out into something a bit different, a bit new. But at the same time, it can be very exciting too, because once you do that, it opens up lots of other avenues and areas for you to explore, and new artists for you to look at and find out about too.
So how did this passion for you, I mean it sounds like a really intense passion, where did it come from and how did it grow?
Well, about 6 years ago I went to live in Paris with my family, and I met a woman there who was a professional painter, and that was how I managed to get back into doing art rather than other things. I was working with her for a while, and if we weren't painting together, we were talking about it all the time, and it just kind of grew and grew, really. And it was through her that she suggested that I go back to university. When I knew my time in Paris was coming to an end, she sort of said, well, I think you should study again. And once I knew I was on the course, it was just, it was very frightening because, I've been in the workplace for a long time as opposed to a studying environment, and that was quite nerve-wracking. But the work kind of takes over, really, you just sort of, there's other stuff that you don't worry so much about, you just get completely involved in the work. And the lovely thing about the stuff here is that age never really comes into it. It's not on the conversational sort of, it's not within the parameters of what you talk about, and I found that really exciting.
Is there any way that you could describe how it makes you feel when you're painting?
Yeah, I did actually. It sounds a bit corny and a bit romantic, but I once said that, quite recently in fact, that coming into the studio and painting, for me, not all the time, but when it really sort of gets to my core, it's like slipping into warm water. It's like you go into a zone which is incomparable. It's a physical, emotional, tactile, spiritual, dare I say, space that you just kind of get completely hooked into, and you lose all sense of time. Hours can go by and you kind of feel almost like it's unimportant, It's like, you can see the environment here. I sometimes even don't know what's happening with the weather outside. I don't know what the time is. It's just when you're in zones like that, and it doesn't happen all the time, but when that's how it can be, that's as good as it can be.
Would you say that that your life fits around your art rather than the art fits around your life?
My life fits around art, definitely. And in fact, if I'm not working, I get irritable. If even for a day, and not that I work all 24/7, I don't, but if I haven't worked at the weekend, either reading or writing or painting or thinking about it, well, I'm thinking about it all the time, but actually, in some way physically involved in it, then I become edgy and kind of like, let me get back to it.
It's like an addiction.
That's exactly how it is. It's an addiction, yeah. But it's wonderful at the same time, and I just don't want to stop.
How would you describe the difference between you being an artist when you were younger, maybe in high school or whatever, and where you are as an artist now?
That's a really interesting question, and I don't know whether some of that has got to do with being a bit older. Maybe it has, because I do actually appreciate every single minute that I get a chance to do this. And I know that there are some people in my year group who do feel like that, who do use every minute they've got to explore their work in one way or another. But I would say, in a way, life's experiences kind of make you realise that it's actually good to spend a lot of time doing something that you love, rather than flit about doing bits here and bits there, and so I think it's something, if you're young and you find that out, that it becomes a life's work, then that's absolutely brilliant. But for me, it almost like took a bit of a lifetime, really, of doing other stuff.